Welcome to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages, with your host, Matthew Shipp. This is the podcast for all of those who are involved in the agriculture all the way to the distribution of beverages. And now your host, Matthew Shipp.
Hello and welcome to Harvest to Pour. I'm your host, Matthew Shipp, and today I am here with Jetton, a member of J.Galt Financial Suite. Now, J.Galt is kind of rewriting the rules of small business financing. They help small enterprises gain access to corporate level credit solutions. And I'll let Ray here talk more about that. But in a minute, first I want to check on you. How you doing today?
Matthew, I'm fantastic. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. So let's know a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do for J.Galt, and how did you get yourself here, and what inspired you to do what you're doing today.
Well, I love what I'm doing right now with J.Galt. It really fits a need in my life to be able to work with small, medium-sized businesses, because I am one, and I've been one since 1996. Started my first company in 1996. It was a heating air conditioning company, and we grew very rapidly. Over the years, I've built several additional companies, whether it was either for myself or for someone else, and built territories and so forth. So I've been very much in a consulting mode over the years through the corporations that I've owned and working with individuals and small businesses over these years. So I feel pretty qualified for what I do with J.Galt and being able to help the business grow and strategize with building business credit off of their business's EIN number. So it's been exciting. And we've helped currently over 44,000 businesses nationwide achieve over $1.5 billion worth of funding and credit for their business.
So why is building credit off an EIN favorable in a business versus just, applying for a business credit card or taking out a bank loan, or what makes this preferable?
Right. Well, a business's EIN number is very much like your own personal social security number, except one of the problems with business, we set up our LLCs or S Corps or C Corps in hopes that it will protect us from personal mishap and separate ourselves from personal versus the business. So it's very important to build the business credit along the way without having to use personal guarantees or tangle up your personal credit and growing your business, because if the storm happens like it did for my first business, and I'm happy to share that with you in more detail if you want to know that here in a moment. But, we've got this corporate veil that we established with our LLC or the corporation in hopes that we protect our personal assets. And if we tangle our personal stuff up into our business with personal guarantees or using our personal credit to fund our business, then that shoots all kinds of holes in our corporate veil. And then that opens up for the legal system to be able to come after you individually as well if something happens to your business.
So being just an LLC may not be enough when it comes to credit.
That's exactly right. And I had to learn the hard way of that years ago.
Yeah, tell us about that. So you didn't know about using the EIN this way when you were in one of your first businesses. What happened, and when you wish you would have happened?
Right. When I started my corporation, I got that 9-digit EIN number, and I thought, okay, that's going to separate my corporation from me personally. We had a C Corp at the time, and had an attorney, had a banker, had a CPA, thought I had it all together, but all three of those individuals never communicated what I needed to do to separate my business from the way everybody has to get started. When you start a business, you're usually writing a check out of your personal account to fund the business, even the business bank account and the different credit vendors that you have to set up. You have to sign your name on the dotted line to establish those first credit accounts. But there was nobody that I knew of that could coach me on how to untangle my personal from my business. So in the construction industry that I've been in all my life, at the time, we grew very fast. We had a very unique product, which I'm a big proponent of in any industry, is to have something that sets you apart from your competition. And we had a very unique product, and we were insulating houses while we were putting heating and cooling in there, and thought we had it all set up correctly. We grew very quickly, and because our product was unique. So in that time period, there was a lot of building going on and a lot of spec homes that builders ended up sitting on. And I had two business owners, two builders that quit paying. And when I went to them to find out if it was something that we did, they said, no, your product is absolutely perfect. We love what you do for us, but we don't have any buyers for our homes, so we can't pay you. Well, that wasn't my problem. They still owed me the money. And unfortunately, I didn't have a contract for every house that we were doing. We were moving so quickly back then. And both of those builders filed bankruptcy in the same month. And they owed me $65,000. Well, at the time, my business overhead was $70,000 a month. So it sunk me. And when they went to get what they could out of my business, they didn't have enough. And they realized that I had personal guarantees out there and that I tangled up my personal credit into my business to keep it moving and keep it funded. Then they said, well, because of your personal guarantees, we're coming after you next. So that's been over 20 years ago. We've healed from that, but it's a personal mission of my own to not only share that story with other business owners, no matter what industry that they're in, just for their own protection, something else to think about, and engage their attorney and CPA and banker. And through J.Galt, we have the solution to help untangle that situation and get those businesses moving in the right direction to where they can exclusively work through their EIN on their business.
All right. So let's take this into an industry, particularly the one I like talking about, the beverage industry. I often when I talk to beverage owners, I ask them about their harvest to pour journey. Now, their harvest could be, sourcing their materials, where they source, and then how they produce what they produce is uniquely theirs, and the pour is their marketing. Now, in general, what sets a lot of beverage industries apart is their product, and everything else. A lot of everything else, not exclusively, but is pretty standard. They have to find financing to produce what they produce. Sometimes they have to find a brick and mortar, which is most of the cases, if they have that store front facing or warehouse space to produce what they make. And then the marketing is the marketing. Now, so this system can work for somebody who has their idea and wants to start a brewery and needs to buy the square footage, needs to find the financing for all of that. Can they finance something like that through an EIN, or is this some different, or is this just a just in case emergency policy?
It's both, actually. Right. So you can finance through your EIN, and actually one of the sister companies that J.Galt owns is called J.Galt Capital. And we acquired them a little over a year ago. It used to be called Midas Financial. And Midas was the very first financial lending company that started lending money on the EIN number.
Okay. And how long does it take to typically start with getting all your ducks in a row to establish this credit through the EIN, especially if somebody's wanting to start a business and they're starting at pretty much ground zero?
Right. Well, to be honest with you, if you tried to do it yourself, which you could, everything that we do for the client, you can actually do for yourself, honestly, but it would take 5 to 7 years for that business owner to establish the credit that we can get them to within their first 10 to 12 months.
Okay, that is excellent. Okay, so that's significantly speeding things up to get your store open, get your idea underway, as it were. So what is this? Once they do this, they have this credit line. How have you seen others use this? And I'm thinking from like, I don't know, have you had any beverage industry businesses come through a J.Galt?
I'm just beginning to work in the beverage industry, and you've met a couple of the people that we're working with, and we actually had a really nice, enjoyable drink / brewery there with Ellen. She's got a really unique business called Buzzable Creamery, ice cream infused with nitrogen and with an adult twist on there with some alcohol in there.
Yeah. I'll be talking with her in a couple of weeks and have her on the show. So we'll see how she's doing with that afterwards.
Awesome. Love it.
So go ahead with what you're seeing with the beverage industry and the businesses so far.
Well, anybody that has inventory or brick and mortar or employees or has a need for additional funding to grow their business, they're a good candidate for what we do here with J.Galt.
Okay.
So from the beginning, we help establish a foundation for those businesses by making sure they're in good standing with the Secretary of State and they have all their T's crossed and their I's dotted for that foundation. And then we get those businesses set up with the top 3 to 4 credit bureaus. That's Dun & Bradstreet is the oldest. And now Experian Business and Equifax Business are in the game. So that being said, with those 2 additional reporting agencies, they haven't always been in this business. So that tells me that the paradigm is changing and it's moving more in favor of the small business. We just have to make sure that all of those expenses for those businesses in the beverage industry are being reported through those credit bureaus so that they can establish experience and them showing that they're paying their bills. Mm-hmm. So the more that a business pays their bills and the more that they're reporting, the more money that the financial industry wants to lend. On the flip side of that, the individual credit, it works kind of the opposite. The more credit you have established on personal, the more you get dinged.
Okay.
Where the business, the more money you're spending, the more credit they want to give you.
I see. So that kind of brings up a question I had is how do you keep yourself from getting into that credit trouble? So I know in personal credit, interest rates can keep you from digging yourself out. Now, this is something that's really handy if there's a downturn, another economic downturn, another, pandemic, and you'll have this resource to pull on. Now, it may take time for you to dig back out of that when things start doing better and profits start going up again. How are interest rates with these creditors over on the EIN side versus personal and banking?
Right. Business credit, you usually find less or smaller interest rates, lower interest rates, that is, based on your EIN numbers. And there's a lot of businesses right now, Matthew, that have gotten themselves into situations where they've borrowed money with very high interest rates on short-term loans that they really need to be saved. And that's something that J.Galt is able to do through our partner with J.Galt Capital, where we can roll their current loans into a term loan or a business line of credit with a lower interest rate.
That's great to know. I'm sure.
Or being able to take vehicles perhaps and consolidate a lot of those vehicle loans or loans for supplies or, anything that's an expense for a business, we can roll into an opportunity for funding through J.Galt Capital.
That's really good to know. I hope people listening or businesses listening are picking up on that. I know for a lot of these beverage industry, cost of goods is a big deal, and it really affects their bottom line. So, and then they can get themselves in trouble with that in payroll occasionally, depending how things go. And then they take out a lot more loans, or they owe a lot more people, or they heaven forbid, go to family. And that's where it's just, they start digging that hole. So that would be great. So they can consolidate under a lower interest rate after this EIN is established.
Absolutely.
Okay. That is great. That was great. So this would be great. So what are some challenges you often see in industries, beverage industry, any industry really, that when they come to you, what keeps them from taking this step towards the establishing things under an EIN? Some of their fears.
What keeps them from establishing things under the EIN?
Yeah, what holds them back, saying, no, I don't understand this, I don't trust this? What is you notice that where people will have some fear involved in taking this step?
Just the fact that they aren't aware that this situation is available to them. The traditional lending industry is going into the bank and using your personal credit to secure that first business loan, and the personal guarantees and the higher interest rates. And a lot of times the business owner has compromised everything on the personal side to sacrifice for the business to keep it up and running, because that's their baby.
I see.
So
does that keep them sometimes from taking another step towards this EIN, saying, well, this is just another financial thing I don't want to get myself into?
yeah, absolutely. But credit is not a bad thing in business. Our parents have always, my parents anyway, have always taught me to not overinvest and to basically bootstrap it, pay cash as I go. But it's the Wall Street mindset. However, the reason they make so much money on Wall Street is they'll borrow and use somebody else's money to buy the things that they need to sell, and they'll have it sold and the money back in their account before they ever need to pay it back. So that's the best way of utilizing capital and low interest loans and funding to run your business, is using somebody else's money to grow your business instead of using your own and sacrificing your family for it.
That's great advice. I hope we're all listening to that today. Do you have any stories or case studies of some successes of businesses that have come to you that have really turned things around for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't in the beverage industry, but a good friend of mine owned a pest control company, and he was a pretty large company. They'd been around for 11 years and they were doing several $1 million worth of business. But when they would go talk to the bank, they were so strung out on their personal guarantees and loans for vehicles and trying to keep up with payroll. The banks just didn't want to loan them the money to get them to that next level. And so they got started with J.Galt. And when we pulled their business credit report, and by the way, business credit reports are public information and anybody can pull them if you want to spend the money to do it. Part of our J.Galt membership is the business owner will have access to their own business credit report, as well as any other vendors that they might like to do business with, so that you can vet out who you want to work with. Or even if you're going head to head with some competition, you can take your business credit report and show your vendor or the establishment that you're wanting to do business with. You can share your competition's information with them too, just to say, who would you rather do business with? So the business credit report in this guy's case, even though he'd been around for 11 years and was doing millions of dollars each year in business, it only showed that he had $2,000 worth of credit available and a business score of less than 60. Now, the scoring is different from personal scores. The personal scores go from 350 to 850 typically, but in business, it goes from 1 to 100. for the business credit ratings. So he was less than 50. Our goal with J.Galt is to get our members to an 80 plus or higher and into the tier 4 vendor rankings. And I'll explain more about that here in just a moment. But within 3 to 4 months of his membership being in place, it went from, because he had so many millions of dollars that he was spending each year, I was $100,000 or more a month in expenses.
Mm-hmm.
His business credit went up to almost 300,000 just within about 3 to 4 months.
Wow. Okay.
So that's just one example. Not everybody's going to be that way if you're not spending as much in supplies and overhead and payroll. So we can actually roll payroll and marketing services into where they report on your behalf to the credit bureaus, and we monitor all of that for you as a part of our membership.
Yeah.
So not only do the most popular membership that we have is a lifetime membership. We do have a core membership that is just for 1 year, just to help establish the business credit for that individual or for that EIN. But those situations are typically when the business owner is looking to sell their business within the next year or two. They will do the core membership. The people that, their business is their baby, they want to transfer ownership to a family member or build it large enough to where they can sell it in the future, they're going to go with the lifetime membership, which includes the entire suite software package that helps you focus down the road on growing and scaling your business. Not like a QuickBooks type program. It actually projects where you want to be and helps you get there, as well as introduction from us to the tier 1 vendors that have a 30, 60, 90-day term on the credit there. And that could be as simple as office supplies that we get reporting, or parts and pieces and things that might occur in the beverage industry for supplies.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to make sure that all of that continues to report with the 3 to 4 main credit bureaus. And then we're going to introduce them to the tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 vendors and trade partners, which could be revolving credit and lower interest rates, and even give you the ability to have unlimited funds on credit cards, or be able to walk into a Toyota or a Ford or a GM to purchase vehicles or additional equipment.
When somebody comes to you, or if they're not coming to you right now, what is the one thing that they could do right now to start you said you could do it yourself. What is that one thing you could do right now that if you take it so far, then bring it to J.Galt would make, both your lives much easier?
Well, our job is to make their life easier, because there's so many vendors out there, and, we're looking for the easy route to keep our businesses flowing. And unfortunately, there's only about 7% of vendors and trade lines that are reporting to the business credit bureaus currently. And we know all of them. So it takes a lot of time if you were to do it by yourself anyway. As a business owner, your time is the most valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really, having been in business for so many years, I really look at the owner's time to be valued at $1,200 to $1,300 an hour. So just think about all of the time that you spend outside of growing your business on things that are necessary. Could you hire those things out? And that's what you do with J.Galt, is you hire out our service to make it happen quickly and painlessly.
This has been real informative. I got a couple more questions. This one, some people find easy, some people find hard. It's fun though. So this wouldn't be a podcast about the beverage industry if I wouldn't ask, what's your favorite beverage?
Wow. My favorite beverage in general, are we talking normal or adult beverage, or?
Either way, if you want to, what's your normal favorite non-alcoholic, and what's your favorite adult?
this might be a little contradictory. I really do tend to lean towards the healthy side of things. And I really love a glass of iced green tea or even hot green tea, just for the healthy effects of what green tea does. My favorite adult beverage right now actually comes out of Durango, Colorado, and that's a smooth honey whiskey. And my best friend, every time he comes from Colorado, always brings me a bottle to share with me.
Oh, that's great. Honey whiskey out of Durango. That's interesting. Let's have to look into that. All right. So do you have does J.Galt have any like promotions or events or places they can find you? Actually, where can they find you as well if they want to book a consultancy and find out more about establishing credit under your EIN?
Absolutely. My website is J.Galt, jgalt.io/R Jetton. Will take you to my website. My calendar's on there. You can also reach me on my phone. I don't mind giving this out to you as well to make it simple. I'm right in the center of Missouri around the Columbia market. And my cell phone number is 573-424-3499. I'm glad to take phone calls from any of your listeners.
Absolutely. And again, I'll have all these links, numbers in the show notes for the podcast. Also, you said you're in central Missouri, but J.Galt is nationwide.
We're a national company. I believe we're a Fortune 1000 company, and we're in the financial industries, and we have an aggregate of 14 other financial companies that support J.Galt. So it's not just me from the consultant standpoint here and local in Missouri, but we're very much corporate. And when somebody becomes a member with J.Galt, they'll actually get their very own support person who is a business credit analyst to work with. And you'll actually have their personal cell phone number to ask those important questions as you grow your business.
All right. Well, Ray, this has been super informative. I really wanted to talk to you and educate small, medium businesses in the beverage industry about this. There's a lot, I'm sure, that do not know that you can do this with your EIN. And I hope that the few that listen, the people that listen, a few of them will, take that step and help establish a nice financial security around their business instead of, investing or looking for loans in places that may, not protect themselves, even with their LLC or their S Corp. Again, Ray, I really thanks for your time. I hope this message gets out to the right people and they'll be reaching out to you. Again, thanks a lot, Ray.
Thank you, Matthew, for this opportunity. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages with Matthew Shipp. Check the show notes for our guest contact information and connect with Matthew Shipp on LinkedIn today.